Check it.
You're tuned in to Say What Radio with your hosts, Justin, Taz, and the other guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
Say What Radio. I'm going to just start with this one and just say the headline, see what you say. Baseball coach is suspended after he forced his players to spit in his face.
He loses damn job.
A Greek man was convicted of stealing electricity despite being dead. Yes. Convicted him after he died.
So he didn't do it before he died.
Yes.
No, okay. What is that? Over.
It's me.
Say what? Say what one more goddamn time.
All right. It is Wednesday night, so you know what time it is. Say What Radio is coming at you guys. Got your girl Justice here with a little special edition of Say What Radio. Usually we do the headlines, but this time I wanted to do it a little bit different. As I said, Say What Radio has been evolving over the last year, just actually over the last 7 years if you guys have been listening to us from the beginning, or if you've just actually started within the last few years, or even if you started last week, we are still here to bring you laughs and to bring you a different point of view. But we want to also keep you informed with fresh content and new talent that is coming up. You guys already know this person that I'm about to introduce, but I want to just give all the praises, love, and admiration to her before she can actually start cutting me off and doing what she does, because she doesn't like to hear when people say good stuff about her. But she doesn't have a choice right now. So, as I said, Sarah Radio's growing, and one of the things that I am so proud of was being able to launch a second podcast, giving a platform to another voice in this world with such soulful and insightful information and just the point of view of the world. Her name is Phoenix Ash. She has been just killing it with this podcast. It was just, in the beginning, it was just something she was like, oh, that's cool to do. But now it's a passion that has burned inside of her and become so much more, and allowed her to elevate her other passions, which are, of course, writing. So please welcome, or help me welcome, the incomparable, the lovely Phoenix Ash.
Hi, thank you so much for giving me such a warm welcome and saying such great things about me. Wow. I feel like, I'm going to add those things in my prayers that other people have that opinion rather than she talks too damn much.
Hey.
So thank you for having me.
You're so welcome.
Right.
Thank you for taking the time to do this. I know you are busy and have so much actually to do, but you just released a new book, and I wanted to just kind of pick your brain on this. I actually wanted to do this on your first release of the book, but time, effort, life, whatever.
It's hard.
We're doing it now. That's all that matters.
Yes. Thank you. So Soiled Sheets is the new book. It was released, I feel like a couple of weeks ago, although it still feels fresh. Feels like it was yesterday. It's picking up steam, so that's good. I'm still trying to get reviews, guys. So definitely, if you've read the book or read the Kindle version of it, please do a review or just hit me up in my DM. Let me use you. I would definitely appreciate you letting me use you to promote the book. But in all honesty, I'm very excited about the release of Soiled Sheets, particularly because it came so close to the heels of my first novel, In Her Makeup. And I honestly did not think that it would be possible to do both in the same year. Certainly not a couple of months apart, but, God has blessed me and allowed my drive to take over, because my instinct is to put the blanket over my head. But I wanted to get it done, and I'm just thankful that I've been able to do so.
Well, so are we, because this is such a great book. I know a lot of people are saying, well, it's kind of, the literary world is sort of like TV now. Everyone has an opinion, and all of this stuff is out there. But there are a few gems out there where you're just like, okay, this gives me hope for what the literary world previously was and what it can be going into the future. And I think your books are are definitely what they are, especially, and you didn't state this is a book, but it is one of your literary works, Long Neck Bottles, which is one of the ones that I love because I'm all about positivity and some sort
yes.
of...
It's an audio book now. I'm so excited about that.
Yes. So when you did your first book, what was your first what was the first thing you did after it? Like your first reaction after releasing it? What was the first thing you did?
So in complete transparency, I was like, let me hurry up and get to the next one.
Really?
I did. I did not take time to celebrate it. And I think partially because, number one, it wasn't a planned book. It wasn't something that I sat down and was like, this is what I'm going to do. It was really not planned. It came as a result of me starting the process of being a full-time writer and me recognizing the patterns within myself that may be present within other people. That whole struggling to figure out if I'm actually not being supported or if I'm not giving value to the way people are supporting me, the way they're choosing to, as well as for me, it was the beginning of a very focused time of healing and having to look at what issues I had that were in my way. And so I just was like, I need to document it, if for no other reason for the day that my daughter becomes old enough to read it and just to know what I was dealing with and how I was overcoming it. So I did not take time to celebrate it. I'm self-published and I didn't have someone to walk me through. I had no money budget. I had money budgeted for my living expenses during the time I went to Focus. Right or wrong, stupid or smart, I had no money budgeted for the actual publishing of the book, of any book. I was trying to do everything free. Like Long Neck Bottles, the cover photo is from me taking my iPhone to a nearby liquor store and staging bottles.
Wow.
They were kind enough to let me stand in there and take a picture. And then it had this huge sign in the background. And I had to send to one of my Twitter friends who has Photoshop and was like, can you fix this? So when you're doing things the free way and you don't know how to do them, there are a lot of errors. And I'm so appreciative of people who saw past that. And was like, but I still feel like this is a good read.
It's creativity, and that it comes from that inspiration, and you know that better than anybody. I think that's I think that's a common misconception for a lot of aspiring writers, that everything is going to be perfect once they get that book up.
Right. It's like getting married. You think wedding day is going to be perfect. It is not.
But it's the little stuff that actually happens that makes it so much more memorable. Like that is something you will always remember about that book, whether this...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But I had no choice.
Well, and
I had no choice, and I was like, I got to do it.
And also, it was a learning lesson and experience for you. It makes you so much more of a multifaceted writer because you have that knowledge as well. So, and I think a lot of this stuff, and well, honestly, that leads me to my next question. A lot of what you've gone through, do you see that, especially with the writing process and you being self-published, do you see that changing your writing to previous iterations? Like if you go back and look at your previous work prior to you actually self-publishing Long Neck Bottles, In Her Makeup, Soiled Sheets, is it different? Do you see the evolution?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So there's a couple of things that make it different. I don't think I was necessarily writing lazily. However, I think I write with more vigor now because I'm self-published and I'm trying to get to the next book. So a lot of these ideas, so In Her Makeup was with me for a very long time. And Soiled Sheets was part of a larger piece of work that I thought was going to be one novel, but it felt too heavy and too long. So I started to break it up. So they were with me for a long time. However, writing full time, right? Like how many jobs can you have and not produce? So I had to take that kind of mentality into working for myself to say, okay, you got to produce something. And, you know, having all the errors with a long neck bottle was great for me because it made me give more care early on in the process. But once I get to the second draft, there are things that I'm trying to multitask in the process. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. However, it made me employ some tools that, for whatever reason, I can't even understand why, I was reluctant to use and didn't want to adapt someone else's style of writing, someone else's style of process, and was kind of like, that's not how it works for me. You know, I kind of let the characters tell me the story. And I still let the characters tell me the story. However, they tell me what the outline is. But I have to use the outline because I have to give speed to the process. The way that I was doing it is a very, very long way to come about this story. And sometimes these stories come to me in dreams, and I have to get it documented. I have to get it out. And the best way to hurry up and just get the full story out is to do an outline.
Oh, yes.
So I think that my writing is different because I was forced to use an outline. You know, I make little notes or whatever. And sometimes I don't fully go back and redo the outline. I just jot notes here and there. But I feel like because I do that, I do less drafts. So that's helpful. Which that's also allows me to get to the next story.
Well, do you think it's a way, because I do see that a lot in artists in general, but that they have to go through their process. Do you think that it was still beneficial to you to go through that, to understand that this is what you needed to do, or to understand that you need to be a little bit more malleable as you go through this journey?
I think the anxiety that came with continuing to write this story when I knew all the changes already taught me to be more flexible and be okay with pausing and starting over.
Okay, I got you. Well, I know we've talked about this previously, but I'm not sure if you're starting it now or if this is something you're going to start a little bit later. Do you want each book to stand on its own, kind of like with, you know, Long Neck Bottles is something that is of its own, and then to start a body of work with the books? Because I saw and reading the book, it seems like it's going to be, Soiled Sheets. I'm sorry, I didn't reference that. It seems like it's going to be a series or at least a continuation.
Yes. So In Her Makeup is a standalone book for now. I hadn't planned on it being a series. It probably won't. It may be another book to follow up. I don't know. I'm getting a lot of requests for a deep dive into sort of like a prequel. So I don't know. Maybe. Okay. I got a lot of stuff I got to get through first. But Soiled Sheets definitely is part of a series. If I'm being completely honest, I'm still to this day not sure how many books are in this series. I'm still sort of mentally planning the second book in the series. I know the entire story. It's figuring out how to break each part down without rushing it, and then without making it too slow.
Let me ask this. Since we've gotten into the process, we've gotten into the books, let's get into you a little bit. Do you remember, or can you recall, like one of your earliest experience in learning that your writing, your language, your just ability had power?
I think I'm kind of still learning that.
Really?
I am. I think, but what I did know is that I could confess the details of my pain in my pages. I knew that I could do that. So I, decided to get my master's in creative writing, and I totally went to school to finish a book. Like, I just want to finish a book. Like, somebody help me finish a book. Let me learn what to do, how to do. And I came out with a degree in screenwriting. It was like, oh, that's not what I was there for. but it's what I fell in love with.
So we're going to do a little round robin. before we end.
Okay.
So I'm going to shoot a few questions your way. And first thing that comes to you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Do you remember the first book that made you cry?
Beloved.
Beloved. Look at that.
Yes. And it's my favorite book.
What is an underappreciated book? Your favorite?
Beloved.
Seriously.
I love that book.
This is, but we've had this conversation. You already, oof. All right. This is funny. All right. Favorite historical figure? Better not say anybody from Beloved.
My favorite historical figure. Malcolm X.
I like.
I love Malcolm X because he was, if anybody has actually read the autobiography rather than repeat the stereotype, he was so convicted, but so open to changing his convictions when he had other experiences to add to them. And so I think he always spoke in his current truth.
Powerful. Okay. What is one thing in the entire publishing process or writing process, if you could get rid of and just keep going?
Marketing.
Okay. Last one.
Oh my God.
And this one is probably going to take you a little time, but what does success look like to you for your books?
Success in general for me when it comes to writing is being able to live abundantly from the income that I receive from writing. And when I say abundantly, I don't mean mansions and Bentleys. Abundantly means we're able to pay all our bills and we could take like 2 vacations a year. That's abundance to me.
No Bentley? No.
I know. I don't want a Bentley. No, I don't want anything that if for whatever reason my next book doesn't sell, I can't maintain. So I want to be able to live off my writing, but I want to be able to earn enough where I don't have to hold my breath after every book release.
I got you.
Yeah, I don't want to rely on the project to get me through.
Well, I can understand that, but you can't. I'm at least get a dog named Bentley, at least, or something. I don't know.
No, I'm good.
All right, hon. I thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me and to open up yourself.
Thank you.
Even more.
Oh, absolutely. You know you my boo. Boo. I mean, Soiled Sheets is out there in her makeup. It's out there. Long Neck Bottles is out there. Amazon Kindle. If you're trying Audible for the first time, I think Long Neck Bottles might be free with that. So
yes, it
try
is.
That, guys.
I like listening to it a couple times a week just to give me a little sense of, okay, I can go do this.
Yeah, you're not by yourself. None of us are, but we don't share our plight. We missed out on the gems in our village.
Sometimes. But again, hon, thank you so much. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. And as always, please continue to follow us on social media. Say What Radio for all platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that jazz. Again, thank you for tuning in. As always, the biggest compliment you guys can give us is to really, really, really share, like, subscribe, review the show on iTunes, Google Play, thumbs up on Facebook, everything. Tell your family, friends about the show. We may not be everybody's cup of tea, but hey, let them listen and we can come to an agreement. You like this, don't like this, but that was funny. Yes, it was. Thank you for tuning in. Catch us next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.
I'm dying in this fucking fucked up town. Shit flying in my mouth. Let's get the fuck out of this country, mother. The fuck is that? Say what again?